Hi everyone, my name is Kartik and my channel is on mental models. Welcome to my first video on the cognitive bias mini-series. In this video I will be talking about the actor-observer cognitive bias, which is the first of 20 cognitive biases that I will cover. The actor-observer bias is a psychological phenomenon that affects the way we perceive and interpret the behaviour of others versus our own. We tend to attribute our own actions to external factors, while attributing the actions of others to internal characteristics or personality traits. So this is external factors, and this is internal characteristics or personality traits. Now this bias occurs because we often have more information about the situational factors that influence our own behaviour. So if we sort of bring that down, the information we have on our side is greater than the information we have for others, such as, and the information means sort of our thoughts. We know what our thoughts are, we know what our feelings are, what our intentions are. And so these things, this information is readily available to us, but they're not available when observing others. So when we engage in a particular action, we are aware of the context and constraints that influenced our actions. Let's take an example one, of walking on the pavement. So that's the pavement, same piece of pavement, and this is us, and here's another piece of pavement, and we've got someone else, and that's us. We are watching someone else. So we are an actor when we are walking down the pavement. So this is us being an actor, and we are an observer when we see someone else walking down the pavement. So here we are an observer. So let's say we both fall over. So we're walking down the pavement and we both essentially fall over. That's us falling over, and this is someone else that has fallen over on the same piece of pavement. Now, if when we fall over, we attribute the blame to, say, let's say, a slippery pavement, which is essentially an external factor, but when someone else falls over, we blame them for their, let's say, clumsiness or them being inattentive, then this is an example of actor-observer bias. Our rationale for why the falling over has happened or taken place has changed between external and internal factors. So these are sort of, let's say, internal, depending on whether it is us or someone else that has fallen. Now, another example, let's say, so that's one example. Another example, example 2. Let's say we are sort of driving a car. This is us, and this is someone else. And let's say in traffic, someone else cuts you up, and you may attribute that behavior to the other driver being careless or aggressive. So sort of internal characteristics, personality traits. But if, say, the reverse happens, and this is us this time and someone else here, and we were to cut someone up, and in this scenario we sort of attribute our behavior to saying we were being distracted, or even say a changed road layout which we were unaware of, then again this is an example of actor-observer bias. So how do we overcome this? How do we overcome this bias? Well, we actually need to actively work in order to overcome it. And that's sort of the key thing. So how do we overcome it? We need to actively work to do it. The first thing is to understand that our own behavior is influenced by both internal and external factors. So own behavior is influenced by both internal and external factors, not just external ones. And therefore, similarly, we have to take a moment to consider that others may be affected by potential situational factors, so external factors, not just internal ones. So that's also for others as well, but it's the other way around. Now, the key point here is to sort of pay attention to the times when we are doing this attribution, when we're sort of saying, oh, this is why this has happened, this is why this hasn't happened, or another reason, so on and so forth. So we need to pay attention to the fact that we are doing this, and thereby, sort of a consequence of that is we should try to be less judgmental. Another way to overcome this bias is, if the circumstance allows, is to actively listen and try to understand others. A further way is, let's revisit this falling on the pavement scenario. If we define the problem it is that people are falling over when walking on this part of the pavement. That's the problem. And so to overcome the bias, one should focus on solving the problem rather than figuring out who was being clumsy or trying to apportion blame or something else. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is, let's fix the pavement or take some other action so that in the future people do not fall over. Let's solve the problem, and that is another way to overcome this bias. A further way is to practice perspective taking. And this involves putting yourself in the other person's shoes and trying to understand the situation from their perspective, basically being empathetic. And finally, is just to be grateful that the situation is not more worse than it already is. So be grateful. And these are sort of the 6 things that we can use, 6 techniques that we can use to overcome actor-observer bias. By overcoming actor-observer bias, we can strive for more accurate and fair judgments and also more positive outcomes. We can cultivate a deeper understanding and appreciation for the complexity of human behaviour, fostering better relationships and communication. And that is something worth striving for. So, this is the actor-observer cognitive bias. And that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you in the next one with another cognitive bias in this mini-series. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.